You can root for Zelensky. I'll stick with Putin.
I'm not. That's the thing is I'm not rooting for Zelensky.
You are.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
No. You can't have it both ways.
No.
If you're rooting against Russia and Putin, that means you're rooting for Zelensky.
Do you hear me saying
say, no,
Zelensky's not as bad as Putin? You don't hear me saying that.
Well, you can't have it both ways. It's a war. You got to pick a side.
No, I can see that it's a banker's war and it's being manufactured, and I can see who they have scripted to be the loser.
Dude, if you're not rooting for one guy, that means you're rooting for the other.
That's not true. You might. So if I'm not for Trump, then I'm for Biden. If I'm not for Biden, I'm for Trump. It's the same thing.
Well, I would say a war is a little different than a fucking election, bro. You know, fighting for your existence, you know, is different than voting for the next Zionist asset. It's not the same thing.
A lot of people in the chat. I see everybody in the chat agreeing with me. But anyway, watch this. Watch this.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now.
Putin's Trump's gonna save us, or he's gonna get in and escalate things.
Trump's gonna save us.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists and the deep state, the Pentagon, the State Department, and the national security industrial complex. One of the reasons I was the only president in generations who didn't start a war is that I was the only president who rejected the catastrophic advice of many of Washington's generals, bureaucrats, and the so-called diplomats who only know how to get us into conflict, but they don't know how to get us out. For decades, we've had the very same people, such as Victoria Nuland and many others just like her, obsessed with pushing Ukraine toward NATO, not to mention the State Department support for uprisings in Ukraine. These people have been seeking confrontation for a long time, much like the case in Iraq and other parts of the world, and now we're teetering on the brink of World War III. And a lot of people don't see it, but I see it, and I've been right about a lot of things. They all say Trump's been right about everything. None of this excuses in any way the outrageous and horrible invasion of Ukraine 1 year ago, which would have never happened if I was your president, not even a little chance. But it does mean that here in America, we need to get rid of the corrupt globalist establishment that has botched every major foreign policy decision for decades. And that includes President Biden, whose own people said he's never made a good decision when it comes to looking at other countries and looking at wars. We have to replace them with people who support American interests. Over our 4 years in the White House, we made incredible progress in putting the America Last contingent aside.
Sure he did. He was obsessed over doing that stuff for Israel, and he's going to say, we're America first, please.
Dude, I'm trying to look for this thing that he wrote that they attributed to him. He didn't write it before he got into office. I'll find it and I'll share it with you. First of all, this guy is such a bullshit artist that just fucking the stupid jumps off the page. He never started a war. He fucking invaded Syria, occupied Syria, is looting the oil and admitting it. We're there for the oil. The troops are there to protect our oil. Our oil. How did our oil get underneath their sand, right? He dropped twice as many bombs in one administration as Obama did in two. He killed General Soleimani, the highest-ranking Iranian military official under the auspices of a peace overture.
He supported the war in Yemen as well.
Which is an act of war.
He helped cover up the Saudi butchering of Khashoggi also.
Right. He's an Israel first Shabbos Goyim slave numero uno.
He pulled out of the Iran deal, which put us at odds with Iran again also.
Yeah, he's a peace candidate. How do you discredit globalism, the globalists, the deep state, all this shit that's real? Victoria Nuland, have this fucking asshole start talking about it. That's how you discredit it.
the world to peace, and now we're going to
Peace.
He's the peace candidate.
Right,
the
peace
mission.
candidate.
The
Right.
State Department, Pentagon, and national security establishment will be a very different place by the end of my administration. In fact, just into my administration, it'll be a very different place.
He's going to be back,
And it'll
dude.
get
I have a
things
strong
done,
feeling.
Just like I did
I don't
4
think so.
years ago. We never had it so good. We'll also stop the lobbyists and the big defense contractors from going in and pushing our senior military and national security officials toward conflict, only to reward them when they retire with lucrative jobs, getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Take a look at the...
Did he stop any of this when he was in for 4 years? I love when they make
No.
all these promises, like all these great things he's going to do, but he didn't do them when he was in.
Dude, he had the most corrupt, prosecuted administration in history. No, more people went to jail in his administration than any other administration.
John Garatis again says they declined NATO membership for Georgia, and a few months later, Russia invaded them. Also, they're meddling in Moldova's government as well. That's what I told Al too. They got their agents in all these countries trying to subvert them and make them pro Putin.
Right. They want their fucking orbit of influence. Hey, when was the last time? What have we ever done? We've never done anything, right? We never couped any governments. We never did any regime
No,
change.
of course we did. We're not saying that we don't, but we're not rooting for Zog either. You're choosing a racehorse.
You want to talk about Zog? There is no Zog. Slaves are the West. The West is shackled. There is not even a fucking close argument to be made. When was the last time Russia fought a war for Israel? I'll wait. I can wait. When was the last time that happened?
The war on terror.
No.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with Israel. And let me.
You don't think the war on terror had nothing to do with Israel? Are you serious? Look at this. Here's Putin.
In the Russian perspective, it was about Chechnya, the Caucasus.
No, yeah, I'm sure it had. Ehud Barak was in BBC saying Russia was going to join their coalition of the war on terror. Here's Putin at the opening remarks for the butcher, Israel Prime Minister Ariel Sharon. He says, "We know that Israel strives for peace." That's what Putin says. You believe that?
Adam, come on. These are all straw men.
No, they're not.
You want me to answer for the Q-tards. You want me to answer for Ed Zoll. You want me to answer for fucking Putin with Ariel Sharon photo op. Come on, man. He's got to play the game. There's 1.3 million Russian-speaking Jews in Israel. They are the largest single bloc. Is he going to be on a banner with Netanyahu? Yeah. He's got to play the game, right?
Sure, he's got to play the game, Al. This is just playing the game.
He's playing 4D chess, Adam.
Here's our savior right here.
He's not our savior, but I can see how the Russians see him as theirs.
How about this one? Sanhedrin asked Putin and Trump to build third temple in Jerusalem.
Let me guess. He said it would be a great idea, right?
Yeah. Putin is good for Jews. Oh, here's another good one.
Hey, let me ask you, how much is Russia sending to Israel every day in monetary amount?
Dude, that's irrelevant. Where are the
How is that relevant?
Because I know just because they're not funding them like we are doesn't they're playing a different role here. I'm not saying to compare these things. Friends of Zion Award.
How many times has Russia exercised the veto to protect Israel in the UN?
Dude, I know this. America is the slave state. We're the defenders of Israel, and we're the ones that are going to be betrayed. But Putin, Netanyahu, Trump, and Putin, a love story. Putin voted Man of the Year, Person of the Year by Jerusalem Post.
Yeah, that was then. Adam, listen, like I said, dude, I don't want to keep repeating this shit. He's got 1.3 million Russian-speaking Jews in Israel that he wants to get along with. They got trade ties, commercial ties. There's a lot of fucking reasons. Is Putin going to save us? I don't believe that. Ed Zoll and the Q-tards and Charlie Ward might. I don't believe that.
Putin says, Mel K says, Putin's fighting the cabal. He's fighting the cabal with Trump. Putin says Russia needs no more evidence of bin Laden's guilt. Russia Federation Security Bureau doesn't need any additional proof to associate bin Laden with the September 11th terrorist attacks.
He was never charged. Never. You know that, right?
And apparently he didn't have to be, because Putin signed on with the and Putin and Bush too. How they were all buddy.
Yeah, but did you see Bush talk about Putin as a dictator like a couple months ago? Mm-hmm. That's all changed, bro. Listen, Putin's been around through 5 American presidents. He's been in power for
he's a dictator. He's a communist KGB dictator that is friendly with Chabad Lubavitch.
He's got dictatorial powers, no doubt.
Fuentes, Ukraine will be destroyed. Alex Jones saying the same thing. Anyway.
Right. I'm not hoping that at all. I mean,
all right. Well, when the nukes are flying, are you going to be still rooting for China and Russia and Iran to destroy us, according to the prophecy? Because
Russia, China, Iran to destroy us.
It really does. I think in the grand scheme of things, your opinion or my opinion on if Putin's justified or not is basically irrelevant, regardless of what we say. But here's a little more.
Globalist warmonger donors backing our opponents. That's because they're candidates of war. I am the president who delivers peace, and it's peace through strength. There was a reason we had no conflict. There was a reason we didn't get into wars, because other countries respected us. I entirely built, all right from the beginning, rebuilt our military. There's a big reason for that. They didn't want to mess around with the United States, and now they're laughing at us. We could end the Ukraine conflict in 24 hours with the right leadership. At the end of my next 4 years, the warmongers and frauds and failures in the senior ranks of our government will all be gone, and we will have a new group of competent national security officials who believe in defending America's vital interests above all else. Thank you very much.
That's his latest statement.